Assalamu alaikum. Today is Symfony Day 3 in DDCP 23, and we are going to cover the following topics. We'll be covering the Symfony Forms component. It's a very robust solution to build entity forms in and various other forms in Symfony. We'll be creating entity forms directly in controller actions and also through forms classes. We'll also be validating forms through Symfony Validator component. Then we'll be styling or theming forms using TailwindCSS. All of this will be to understand things from the very bare concepts, but then we will be creating the same stuff. We'll create forms through the make form command as well as all of the necessary CRUD through make CRUD command. So let's dive in. So let's start with Symfony Forms, which is a very powerful ecosystem within Symfony. Previously in the last lecture, if you remember, we did some manual CRUD, but now we actually need form so that once the form is processed, we'll have that CRUD running. So we'll study forms today, Symfony Forms, and we can call this also, but let us try if there is some flex command for it. So ddiff composer require form. So this is it means this is alias for this Symfony Forms. So it has been installed. If I git status now, so some new files have been added, and one of them is this form.html. Ignore these are just for practice. But now if we go to source, here we should have a folder just like we have it for controllers, entity and all these. So we should create a form. If you have to create a form, you should have a folder for form also. And we already have a teacher entity. If you remember, in the last lecture we had the teacher entity. So if I go to the entity file for teacher, it's just simple normal entity in doctrine. We'll create a form for this entity. And how to access that form? Anybody? Any idea? To use how to access, if we are going to create the form, how to access it? Umar? Yeah, but which route we will have to access?
So first of all, we have to create a controller for that, and inside that we have to create a route, and after that we have to access it inside the browser.
Very good. So we already have a controller for teacher. If you remember, we go to the excuse me, teacher controller, and here we need to have a new so public function, maybe we can call it create, or new is normally the link, but the new, in new we had these values, so let us create a new one. We will call it create. Okay, so public function create, and here let me just quickly copy some route. Maybe the new one is fine. Okay, so the route should be teacher / create. Teacher / create, and we will name it create. By the way, one thing I forgot in one in the previous lectures. For example, if you want to, because all the links, all the routes are starting with teacher dash this, right? So what you can do is, you can, at the top of the form, you can just use this. Sorry. And it will be, already have the route. The route should be, sorry, so what should the route be? Slash teacher. Okay, so what this will do is, for all the routes in this class, you then don't need to specify this. Okay, so which you will just use, for example, show all and show this. You don't need to repeat the teacher again and again. And similarly, update and teacher delete. So what should be this route now? Should be just create. Got it? So create, and name is this. Here we will just dd it for now, just to check if this is working. So teacher slash create is the new route. Symfony 3 teacher slash create, and this is working fine. Okay, here we can have anything passed to the create method, right? So this, if you are in a controller, we already have installed the Symfony form bundle, right? So if you are inside a controller, you can use create form builder method like this. Okay, so create form builder will be passed what? Entity. Which entity? So we need to pass that entity here.
Yes, sir.
So that entity is teacher. So teacher. This autocomplete is a bit for now. Let us use response. Symfony. Teacher. Still is teacher.
It's okay.
I think it will be working, but okay. So teacher, and we already have included a teacher here. We should include basically the response also. So Symfony component HTTP foundation, this response. Probably it will be gone now. Okay, so it's fine now. So this dot create form builder, and here we will be passing now teacher is teacher, and if you don't pass it, it's fine also, because we can create a new entity here, right? So teacher is equal to new teacher, and now you need to pass that teacher object to this form builder, because we are going to use this for is this clear? Okay, then you can change different methods to it, and one of them is add. So to format things, we can go to the new line like this, and we will call the add method. So what add method does is you can specify the names of the form element. So the first one is name, and each form element is of certain type. So add name, and the type should be text type colon class. Okay, I'll pause the video here and go to the form types actually, and go to the documentation. So each element in the form in Symfony Forms is of certain type. So this name should be of what? Text type class, right? So if you go to the documentation and the types, these are the types. So due date is of date type, save is of submit type. So all of those are listed here. Where is the link to these form types? This is it, form types. Okay, so you need to read this thing about the form types, because this is kind of a strange description for form types. So a single input text is also a form type. A group of several HTML fields can also be a form type, and even an entire form can be a form type, so that it can be embedded in certain other forms. So even here, before creating your first Symfony form, it is important to understand the concept of form type. In other projects, it's common to differentiate between forms and form fields. In Symfony, all of them are called form types. So even the elements, for example, text field, select, drop down, or whatever, these are form types, and the form itself is a form type. And even if you group a few elements, they are also form types. So this you can read about form types in, and if you click on this link, there are tons of form types provided by Symfony. So if I open this link, these are all the different types of form types, right? So for example, text type is text type, text area type, email. You can understand what these can be, right? One of them is date time, interval type, date time type, and so on, right? So you can go to this documentation, and what we are actually doing here is we have added a field, name is name, and the text type class. So the type should be the second parameter of the add method, right? Then add, let me go to the entity teacher so that I can know which fields we had. One of them is name. Then one thing, we have made them capital, so it should be small, but for now let us make them use them like this. The second is father name. Okay, so if you go to the second one will be, you can name it anything, father name, and what should be its type? The same text type class. By the way, it can be guessed from these types also by the form, but we are specifying it for now. So add, third one is where it is, third one is email, and then we have address also. So third is email, and which type it should be? Maybe email type class, right? and all of these are being included. These are actually classes, so it should have been included by the editor, but this one has been included. Maybe the text one is not yet, so we should include the text class also. Text type, import class, this is the type. So it's now at the, this is text type. These are classes actually, right? And the classes names are the second. Then address. So address should be what? A text field or text area? Text area. So it's a, guess it, text area type, colon class. Then data birth, add, or maybe we can call it DOB, and then it's date type, or date time type, right? We have even gone to the precision of time in date of birth, so advanced we are. So we'll use this one, date time type, sorry, class.
Phone number, contact number,
And the last one is contact underscore number, and this is going to be, have we included it? Import class, this one. Okay, contact number is it is also going to be number. For now we'll make it text type also. So text type class, right? And then the last one should be, I think, all the, what else? Okay, then we should have get form, get form method, right, at the end. So what do you think it should return? A form object. So the form is going to be this. Clear? So this will create a form. So what's the next step then? It's a controller.
Yes, sir. So we have to call the relevant twig for that.
Great. So for now I will just write it. I also have installed some extension, and probably if that is working, let me try it. Twig 5 twig render. I think this one is, yes. So this is a shortcut. This dot render, the name of the form, it should be teacher slash create.html.twig, right? And the this should be form and should be form. So this form will be available in the twig file. Clear? Okay, we need to, it's out of the method, and it should return, there will be return also. Okay, this is clear?
Yes.
Now we need to create this create.html.twig inside the teacher folder. So we will go to templates, teacher, and we will maybe quickly copy one of these, maybe the new one. Copy and paste, and here we will rename it to create.html.twig. Okay, I will remove everything else. So what should be printed out here? A form, and the form is a method function and the form object, the variable which is passed to it. Is this clear?
Yes.
So this is, hopefully if everything is fine, it will be outputting the form for us. So if I go to the create one again, and there is a beautiful exception. datetime class does not implement Symfony form type interface. So types. Oh yes, we are including the wrong
controller.
Date time type, and it's text type.
Date time type.
Yes, this is not the one we are looking for, so let us manually go through it. Or if we import class, so these are two, this one should be selected. Now it's fine probably, right?
Yes.
If I refresh the page in class, can't get away to read the property to be in class this. Okay, one more thing, the names should be exactly like the property names.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that we can relate them. So I will change these to name father underscore name. If we go to the entity,
Date of birth have a problem.
okay, so it should be what,
Date of birth.
how we have done it in, let me check, in entity it's date of birth. Okay, it's
Yes.
one word, so it's going to be date of birth. So we have a form now. Basically this is unstyled because we are using Tailwind for now and it hasn't been styled yet. So but this is name, this is father name, this is email, this is address, this is date of birth, even it provides us this and the contact number, right?
Yes.
But we are missing what? Submit
Submit
button.
button.
Good. For this, before the get form, we can use add again, and then it should be save, and the type should be submit type, yes, this one, and colon class, and it can be passed a third also, maybe label, and label should be what? Add so add teacher is the button now. So if we submit it, nothing is happening, and by the way this is there is these are required also. And which type of validation is this? HTML5 validation. And if JavaScript is disabled, will this be working?
Yes, sir.
If it is disabled,
No, sir.
if JavaScript is disabled,
Yes, sir. This
so
will-
you should always, one should always have
Server-side.
server side validation also. Okay, if JavaScript is disabled, people can bypass this. Okay, so let us recap what we have done. We created in the controller, we created this method, this dot create form builder. This is available. Why is this available? Because we are extending the controller with abstract controller. If I remove this, maybe we will be having a lot of errors then, because all this magic comes from the abstract controller. So here we created this method, this use this method, this create form builder. It is passed the entity, and then you add all the individual form elements, including the button, and all of these are known as form types. You can have all the form types in this, on this page. This page, it has a lot of form types.
The form builder is built-in method.
Yes, yes, but it is basically after we have installed the Symfony form plugin. That's why we are able to do it. Then we are passing the form which we create. This is the form. It is passed to the Symfony render method, and this, and the form is rendered there in the template which we created, create.html.rec. By default, if you submit the form, the action is the same as the form which the controller method which generated it. So create is the method. So if we submit the form, what should be the action? The action should be the same this controller which generated the form for us. So if you submit the form, all the processing should be done here. Okay, you can have separate actions also, but for now we will do it here. Is this clear? Okay. So in order to render the form, we should have if statement, and here we will be processing the form. One thing we can do is we can pass the request and request object to the create method. So what it will do, it will auto wire the request object for us, and we should include the request here. You should know what request and response classes are. So we have not yet included it, so we should do that. How can I right click, import class, and it has imported the Symfony component HTTP foundation and request, right? Okay. The next thing is, and we also have to save the data which so what can we do is we can import the respective repository. If you remember the repository teacher repository class, it has a method of save for us, and we can directly use entity manager here as well and use it directly too. But for now I will import the teacher repository and $sign teacher repository. So we can now use this here. We can use this there. One thing you need to do is the request should be after the form has been created, form handle request is a method, and it is passed what request. This is a line. Okay, you have to do this, and afterwards form is submitted. What should be this equivalent to normal in your normal PHP? We already have done this. Form is submitted and $sign form is valid. These are the two you should be using. Okay, so form handle request, and then if form is submitted, it means just like in our custom PHP we would be doing something like if is set post this. So this is, and then if form is valid, it means if there are no errors, then do something dd, and I will dump it for now. dd form get data. This is a method. So this method has all the data of the form. Got it?
Yes.
So if form is submitted and the form is valid, then it will dd it all the data. Clear? So let me just submit the form. This at gmail.com, address and some date of birth, contact number, and add teacher. So once submitted, it is now showing us all the value of the. Got it? So what we can do is, rather than dumping it, we will assign it. We will use the repository we have already now included and save. So teacher repository colon save. What is it, save or what it was? Let me recall. Okay, it's add.
Yes.
So we just need to pass the object, the teacher object.
Form object.
So it will be teacher repository add,
Pass the form.
and maybe if we just form data, or you can even call it the teacher itself. So form data, and what should be the second parameter? True, so that it is
Yes, sir.
persisted also, right? So teacher repository add form data true. Is this clear?
Yes.
Hopefully it will be working now. So if we do it, and open php myadmin in vdef php myadmin. Before doing it, we should if I go to db and then the teacher last record, so we don't have this. Let me add it. Hopefully it will be. Address is this, date of birth whatever, contact number is this, and add teacher. So something has happened, and if I refresh the page, so we have the value.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes.
So what we have achieved, we have created a form for the entity, and now we are able to add the entity based on that particular form data. Okay, if you remember from our custom MVC framework, we created a flash system.
Sir.
Remember? So we should have some messages displayed to the user also, and it again is very convenient here. After this is done, we will use this add flash. This is the add flash method, and the key is success, and the data has been successfully added. And even we can call it, or maybe the teacher. How can I use the teacher name here?
Form and then get data.
Form data,
Yes.
it is actually a teacher object, okay?
Yes, sir.
And
Name.
name, and we should be using it
Yes, sir.
like this, right? Now the this dot add flash should add the message,
Yes, sir.
and then we should redirect to some page once the form is submitted successfully, right? What should be that page? We already have a show all
Yes, sir.
method. Show all, where it is?
At the top.
This one, show all, and machine name is this,
Yes, sir.
right? Show ID, sorry,
That
this is
show one.
this is show all.
Yes, sir.
So what we can do is this dot redirect, this dot redirect to route. So it is more convenient to use the route rather than, because if the path of the route changes, this code will still work. So what it should do, it should return this dot redirect route, and here we have to pass this. Clear? Okay, but we need to display the flash message also. So the flash message should be displayed where? In this route, in the twig file relevant to this route, right? So how can we do it? We will go to the template where it is teacher show all, this one. At the top of the page above the for teacher where they are being, so here we have to loop through something, and if there are more than one success messages or flash message, they all should be displayed. So what we can do is this for and for, so that we don't forget the this. So for message in it's app dot flashes, okay, app dot flashes and success. You need to remember this. So in app dot flashes success, here we will output the message, some message. Clear? So we are looping through the flash messages and outputting them. Now let us try with a new one. If we'll go back to /create, and this is Wasim, this is Akram, Wasim Akram at dropbox.com, then the address, whatever it is, date of birth, contact number, and add teacher name. Okay, that's what I was referring to, the name. Actually, because we have done some problem, we have an error in the, we should not be naming properties with capital letters, so probably that's the problem. We'll change it to name. Okay, if we refresh the page, where it is undefined property teacher name, okay, here even it is small letter. You should not be naming the, if you go to controller and then this one name, sorry, teacher name has been added, cannot access. Okay, it's private property, so how can we do it? Get name. One more thing, it should not complain in twig, but it complained here. It's good thing, because I forgot to mention this. In twig, what it will do is, if it encounters something like this, it will automatically, if the property is private, it will automatically find a method with the same properties name and run it. So here we had the error in PHP, but if it was twig, it would not prompt us for this error, because it will automatically, if it encounters the variable name dot name, so it will search for get name property of that particular entity.
I think this method is not available inside that.
Get name.
I think this method is not available.
Okay. So the teacher Wasim has been successfully added, and it will be, because we added a lot of them, so this one is the last one, right? So it has been added, it is working now. So we had some issues with the variables we had set, but it is now working. Is it clear?
Yes.
Let me also change this to the form data, get data. Let me try if it still works. I will comment this line and I will directly pass the teacher entity. Okay, form data this, and it will be teacher name, just to check if things are working fine, because this is just a test. So if I go back to teachers create, and I will add Wakar, Yunus, and then the date of birth, contact number, and add teacher. So the teacher Vakara has been added, and if we go to the last of the records, so Vakar has been added. So what do you guess from it? Shavas, tell me. This handle request method, basically, because we have created an empty teacher,
Yes.
but the form, once it the request has that data, it handles it, and the teacher is updated with the form data. Got it?
Yes.
That's why we don't need to have our own get data method, but you can, for some reasons you need to, you can use it. Got it?
Yes.
The difference? Automatically this line creates this for us, basically. Okay, so this was about creating the forms from the controller.
Yes.
But there is a better way, and that is creating the forms through form classes. So this was from the create method in the controller. We cannot replicate it, but the advantage of form classes is that you can use it in any other controllers also. If I have to create another controller somewhere else, so I will have to copy this code and use it in that controller. But if I create a form class, I can just include that in any controller and it will be doing things for us. So what we can do is, now the next step is to create a form class. And to create a form class, what we need to do is, we already have created a form folder inside the source directory, and here, and then the Symfony practice is that you should name your form type. It actually is a form type, so you should call it teacher type, because we are creating a form for teacher. So teacher type, and here what the namespace should be, source form, so it should be app slash form, and class teacher type extends. Okay, so even the documentation states that you should be extending abstract type. If I go to the building forms, data forms, controllers, this is the controller section which we did, and this is the abstract type. So we should be, and it actually implements the form type interface, but abstract type also implements it, so we can directly extend the abstract type, and then it has a build method. Okay, so so we'll extend it as well, abstract type, Symfony component form abstract type, right? And it includes it at the top of the page. So what should be the method? The method is known as, which we must implement, and that is public function build form. Okay, and it has a form builder interface builder, and then the array of options. But so public function builder what it is called, build form, and it will automatically my function build form. So this is the builder and this is the array options. So we can basically, I will just copy it from here and use it for the use. Use this, and should be form builder interface builder array options, right? So here we are, this is the builder, so the same stuff we need to do now should be builder like this. Okay, so if I go back to the documentation, the builder, and then we can run the same add methods. That's
Yes.
it. Okay, so I will quickly copy it from where the controller, so that we can save some time. So this is the create and this is that copy, and we will go to
Teacher.
type. Add this. Okay, now why is it prompting me for these? Because we need to have imported import class, this one, import class, this one. By the way, it is Symfony component, form, extension, core, type, and this. Okay, then the text area type, then the date time type, and then the, if there are more than two, so it will prompt you, we will need this one, and then the submit type. Import class. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so the form now is, the form class basically is ready. There is one more configuration option which we need to do, to add basically, and that is, it generally is not needed, but maybe if the form is embedded inside other forms, it again has been mentioned in the documentation. This one, where it is, this one. So while not always necessary, it's generally a good idea to explicitly specify the data class option by adding this. So we will now create a method, this one, configure options, option resolver is passed into it, and then we set defaults, and the data class should be which entity this form belongs to. Okay, so we can quickly copy this code to save time. This is the second method. So the function configure options, and we will include options resolver also, import class. So it has been imported for us.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so what should be the resolver? Set defaults, it is passed an array, and the data class is, which class should it be?
Task one.
What should be the name of the class
So
we are creating this form for? Teacher.
teacher.
This is teacher type, right?
Yes.
So it's a teacher, and we need to include the teacher entity as well. So we have specified explicitly via the configure options function
Yes.
that this form belongs to the teacher class. That's it. So now we have created a form class, we can use it anywhere we want.
Yes.
Okay, so I will quickly create, I will leave the controller we already have created for create. I will create a new controller, maybe just copy all this, Control C, and here we will call it what can we call it?
Teacher.
Create slash class, maybe this, the path is creates this class, and this should be underscore class and create class method. Teacher is equal to new teacher, and now we don't need this, we don't need this. So the new teacher, here we will this dot create. Previously what we use create form builder,
Create form builder.
now we will use create form. Create form, and it will be also pass teacher, the teacher object. And this is Okay, so this dot create form, it has type, mixed data and options. So which type it is? It should be passed the teacher type, not teacher, not this teacher. Okay, it should be passed teacher type. So teacher type is now what? A form.
Yes, sir.
Teacher type and teacher type. But we should be basically include it in the method teacher type. So here we should auto wire it, teacher type, this one f form,
Yes.
right? And teacher, sorry, what happened?
Controllers.
We were inside the controller. Okay, control.
So the method we have to edit.
So here we need to teacher type, and here it is being passed here. Teacher type string. Okay, let me do it again. So it should be teacher type, colon class. It expects the name of the class. This is not needed. I'm sorry for this. Is this clear now?
Yes,
So the create form will be passed the name of the form class,
name of the class.
right? So it will assign it to the, we can now assign it to the variable this, and then it all is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Got it? So now if we create a form of this type, what we will do, we will just use the create form method in the controller method, and it will create the form for us.
Yes, sir.
So now if I access create slash class, we should be, and we should create a create class also, create class.html.twig.
Yes, sir.
I'll quickly copy the twig file also, this one copy, and this is paste. So it's create class.html.twig, and let me just add some text at the top of the page, maybe h1. This is coming from, this form is from the teacher type class, right? That's it. So if we access slash create slash class, so we have, this form is from the teacher type class, the same form. So you can imagine you have now a class which you can reuse everywhere on in your controllers, and previously that was hard coded kind of create form builder method. You will have to copy and paste it to use it, so this is more efficient.
Create it for a student, sir. If you want to create it for a student. So
For
you
a
just-
student?
Yes.
Yes, so then you in the form you just need to change this to where it is the form, this one.
Teacher type.
You, this type should be student,
Yes, sir.
and you will have to add the relevant form
Yes,
elements.
sir.
That's it.
No.
Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
We will have a small break and then we will continue. Welcome after the break. So if I go to the form right now, this is that form. So it's unstyled. We need to style it, and we already have implemented TailwindCSS in our, but if you go to the create.html.twig file in teachers folder, this one create class, so this is just one variable. If if I move this and block to the end, maybe formatting brings it back. Okay, but this is just this one variable form. So how can we add classes to individual elements here? Anybody? What do you think should be the way? Right now it is output this it is outputting this variable for us, and if we go to the inspector source of it, so it has labels also, divs also. These are the different divs, the labels, the text, all of this. So basically Symfony has prepared this one variable which has all these elements in it, and now we need to break down it so that we can customize or theme individual items of the form. You got the problem?
Yes, sir.
Right now? So what we can do is, let us go back to the documentation section of Symfony Forms, and we scroll down to theming forms, or maybe let us start
Here is the Tailwind form theme.
yes, we will use this one for now. Okay, so we will break this form into separate sections, all of its elements, so that we can easily theme it. And the way to do is, we will start with form underscore start. This is the form start, and then similarly I will comment this one. Now we won't be seeing the form, but this is the form start, and it will be enclosed in form underscore end, and this is the form, right? So everything has to be here. So if now I need to output the name attribute, so it should be form underscore widget and then the name of the form. So form dot name. If I refresh the page,
Remove the two parentheses.
okay, so this is that name, but by default the rest of them are printed. The name is not printed. So if I include the father name also, just at the bottom of the form, the ones I have not used will be printed automatically. So for example, this is form name. If I copy and paste it, the widget is father. Is it father name or father dot name underscore name? Father name. Okay, so even that is now gone.
Yes.
Though these two are manually printed now, these. So we can print labels also. So for the first one, this one for example, sorry, the form name, this one, if I have to print the name also, so it should be label, sorry, form underscore label, and this dot name. So this is the label for this one, form name, right? And similarly this one should be form label for father name. You get the idea how to break it down into separate elements. So now you can see this is name and this is father name. And even you can pass individual the second argument can be a twig object with ATTR attributes, right? So it can be maybe a class. Sorry. So the class can be colon Azmat, Tailwind, or whatever, right? So for example, the form widget form.further name, it has been passed this extra Tailwind object, which is just like JavaScript objects, sorry, the twig object, right? So it will pass these classes to this element. So if I refresh the page now and go to the inspect, of this, so you can see class Azmat and Tailwind, they have been passed to it. So you get the idea how to pass classes to the labels, the individual elements, and as well as these. So I will do something. I have a file, and thanks to our front-end developer Wasim, who has created this form for us. So I will copy some elements from it, and we will theme the form according to this markup from the Tailwind. So maybe we can wrap everything inside the container. I will quickly go through it because this is not Tailwind or front-end class. This is Symfony class, but we will do something very quickly. So maybe this, and then enclose everything inside this div container. Okay, now the form itself has some attributes. If I go to that markup again, okay, you can see the form starts here. By the way, the default method already is posted in our form, so we don't need to specify it, but these are the classes for the form itself, these two. So I'll copy it, these classes, and where should they go? Any idea? It will be
the start of the form.
exactly. So if I come here, and this is the form start, the second attribute should be this object with ATTR, and then colon, and another object, and here we need to specify class colon, and then these classes which I have copied already. So now they will be wrapped in the form will be wrapped in this class. Is this clear?
Yes.
So if you refresh the page, some changes are there, but we will specify how to fix it. But if we go to the form start, so these classes have been applied.
Yes,
Got it? Now the next thing is we should come back to the index.3 that this, and maybe if there is some text box here, so this is one. Can I copy all of it? Input text, yes. So this is text box, we will follow this one. Okay, I'll copy it and move this code to the class. We will target the first two for name, so I will paste it here. Then label for this, so this is going to be the label, and it has these classes, right? So I'll copy the classes first, or maybe this thing form underscore label, So this is going to be the dynamic value of it. Okay, and the second parameter should be the classes. So we'll copy these and move them to from label dot name. The second parameter should be
Comma.
okay,
So
attr column and then a sub object and then class column and then the classes we have copied like this, right? And we will remove this hard-coded label. Similarly, we have to copy form widget and paste it here, and this is going to be the second attribute. Maybe if we can quickly copy this so that we can save some time. And we will copy these classes.
write the extra text option. It's option Z.
Okay, option
The command is here.
Alt Z.
This one is Z.
okay, good. Okay, you get the idea. We have themed the label for name and father name. We will quickly do it for all the rest of the elements also,
Yes.
right? So I will quickly copy this thing. We don't need to maybe the whole div. Should I copy the whole div or just this?
Yes, the whole day.
Okay, so now we will just change the name to father name and father name, right? If I refresh the page, what is this saying? Okay, so the problem actually is I think the form label method function has a bit different attribute. So it's a label underscore double tr. Also the second parameter is the label. If you want to customize the label of your, so we can call it maybe father name, and similarly we have to change it to label underscore ATTR, and the name is teacher name. Maybe we can call it teacher name. So if we refresh the page now, so the form is now rendering properly. One thing, this is not centered. Maybe we are missing some devs, and I have asked the front end guy, so we need to I will go to the, we need to copy this so that everything is in the center, this div, and it is the second div after the container here, and before the container closes we need to close the div as well. Hope this will center the form. So now the form is centered and better than what it was. Okay, maybe we need to remove this form is from the teacher type class also. That message is enough, it has served its purpose. Now we will need to, or maybe we just call it create teacher. Okay, the same way we need to copy all the other form elements also. So I will just copy these elements. What else we had? Email, teacher, email, and this is going to be email, then address, it will be address, and this is teacher address. And if you refresh it, so teacher email and teacher address. If I zoom it out, so it looks a lot better now. Then we need to have this as well, and the contact number. And again, remember, the form is being displayed. The missing elements which we have not manually created, they are automatically displayed.
Yes.
So if we print them as well, so these also will be hidden. Then I will change it to, maybe the contact number is, so it's contact underscore number,
Yes.
or underscore number, contact number. So if you refresh it, contact number, and now we are left with these two, the button and the date of birth. So we'll copy the date of birth first. Date of birth, let us make it DOB here. So that's how you style the form. And the next is the button. It is save, I think. Maybe the for button we need to separate stuff. This is the button and these are the classes. So DOB, and this is the add teacher button. Is this clear? So that's how you need to theme forms. But this is for one form, this was a lot of work. So maybe if you want to make the site-wide forms themed, all the forms themed the same way, so there are shortcut also, you can Google about them in the documentation. Theming Symfony Forms, form themes rather, this. So these are different types of bootstrap based theme forms, and in the config packages trick.yml you can specify which form library or form styles you need in your, so you we will have then to go to config packages and trick.yml and add this line. It has one for Tailwind also, so that's the shortcut for changing all your forms into this. I will leave it to you because we have a lot to study still in this lecture. So hopefully, one thing we are missing, maybe if there are form errors, so at the top of the page here we can specify a div with the form errors. Div class is equal to, so some text dash red dash, maybe this one, and here we need to print the form errors. So for that there is a form underscore errors method. Form underscore error form. So if the form has errors, they will be printed here. Even the individual errors can also be printed. For example, if I leave the father name empty, so form underscore error form dot father name. We'll test it. Okay, but right now there is a problem. If we submit the form, because of HTML5 attributes, we are not able to check the validation which we may need. And for validation also we need to download a separate component. But first let us remove this validation from the form. Okay, so because these are required automatically, they have been added the required attribute. But in the form attribute class, this one object, we can pass a second one comma, and that will be no validate colon, this is French, no validate. Okay, so this will remove the HTML5 based validation from the form, so that we can test what we want to do. So string number okay, so maybe we have some problem with the class is this. Attribute, okay, it's not inside the class, it should be outside the, we are giving it in different class is this.
Should be outside the curly braces.
So the comma and then again start the curly braces.
Like this.
So outside the first closing it.
I think this is fine, but
After this curly braces.
this one.
Yes.
Let me just quickly. Says attribute no validate. Maybe no validate is no validate. Like this. Class is this, and I think this was the right place, but only this one. The error is somewhere else. Okay, these are double brackets. I think we have given the right. I'm extremely sorry for this delay. There are double brackets here. You should have read the errors. Okay, now if I submit the form, we will end up on the error, but at least that validation, HTML5 validation is not there. Okay, one more thing. Now we need to have another, because for validation Symfony has validator component. It's a very powerful system. Again, Symfony Validator, and we can quickly install it. So ddef composer require Symfony Validator. So it can read your entity classes, and you can specify attributes for server side validation of classes, right? So if we will go to the entity class of teacher, this one, okay. So for example, we want to specify that the name should not be empty. This name should not be empty. So what we can do is maybe what's it asset not name. But before asset, what we should do is we should use the Symfony component validator constraints as asset. This is the convention in Symfony. So in the class use statement here, we'll use Symfony component validate. This is the new component which we just installed, constraints, and it should be called asset, right? So here above the name, for example, so what we will use is hash this for so asset, and then not blank. What? Not blank. And there are a lot of them, it's all there in the documentation. So not blank, this one is the not blank. Now the name cannot be empty, right? So if I use it above even the father name and then the email address and date of birth and the contact number, how different it is from the JavaScript or the HTML5 validation. Anybody? Why are we doing it here by removing the HTML5 attribute?
If someone disable the JavaScript from the browser, so it will not work.
Exactly. So this is server side
validation.
Validation, right? Now if I, where it is, if I submit the form, I'll given it the date of birth. Okay, we will for now dump the form. Okay, if I go to the controller, create class teacher, by default it will come to the controller class, and here we will just dump it for now because the date of birth is being shown empty. So we will just use dd dd form get data. So I'm going to type data null given a property path date of birth. Okay, let us choose it for now. Okay, this is what actually I wanted to show you, and we will remove this get data for now dd. Okay, so this value should not be blank, should not be blank. You don't know what actually is happening, but at least we have, how is it outputting it? From the form underscore error.
Yes, sir.
From the form underscore error attribute we have used this one in the twig file for create class. So here it is being output from these errors, right? So if you are specifying these attributes in your entity classes, here you can pass messages also. Okay, so how are those messages passed for custom messages? So here it's basically a function like this. So you can pass message, the message attribute, message colon. What is this for? Contact number, right? So contact number should not be empty. And similarly you can do it for all the others also. I will leave it to you, but if we submit the form, so you can see this message has been changed. Okay. So from here you can specify the messages also. Maybe if we can add it to one or more, but to save time I will leave it to you. So maybe here father name, okay, I will leave it the rest of it to you. Okay, so this has changed also. Is this clear? Okay, this is validator, using the validator from the entity classes, right? But we will switch back to documentation. This is for the entity classes, but you can use the validator inside the form classes also. We learned to create form classes, and I will leave it to you as well. Okay, it can serve our purpose right now. That's why we have used it inside the entity class, but if you want to, you can use the form classes also for validation, and all the method is listed here in the validator documentation. Okay, so I will leave it to you. And even you can create your custom these asset type things also. So if you have some specific requirements which are not met by these not blank and all of these, if I go to the editor, for example this one, assert and it has all of these, not null, password, range. So there are a lot of these, but if you need some specific ones, you can create your own also. Okay, and we have used the not blank one, not blank. So not this, all of such I will leave it to you, but it is serving. So that's how you validate forms. You use the attributes above the property values, and also there is a method in for using the same validations in form classes also, which is in the documentation. But this serves our purpose, so that I will leave it here. So let us recall what we did for creating for styling the form. We went to the twig file which was responsible for outputting the form and broke it into form underscore start. We can pass the attributes here as well, and form underscore end, and then the individual elements. Okay, then we can create, edit and delete forms also, edit and delete. So we did the CRUD manually, but for forms the maker bundle lets us create forms also. So rather than doing it manually, we can quickly create, edit forms for everything, for all the entities we have. So let me quickly create a student entity, and then we will generate a form for it also. Rather than doing it manually, you now know the basics. We will do it via the maker bundle. So let us quickly create a new entity, and I will call it pdf bin/console okay, read php bin console make entity. The name of the entity should be student, Okay, so we'll make another entity and we'll call it what we should call it, employees, for example, employees. Okay, so what's the fields are? Maybe name. We'll go with the default so that we can quickly save it. Then email, and that's it. That's fine for now. Okay, email and name. The next step is to migrate. So ddiff php bin/console make migration. So it will create a migration, and then the next step is to import it so that it is in the database. So ddiff php bin/console doctrine migrations migrate. Yes, so hopefully if you go to the php myadmin now, if php myadmin, we will have a new table, employees. So this is employees table. It has id, name, and maybe we need to add the email again. So make entity command needs to be run this, and this is clever enough that it's going to be email and father name is okay. So make migration, we will have to run it again, and then doctrine migrations migrate. Okay, if we refresh the page in php myadmin, so it has name, email, and father name also, right? So id, name, email, and father name. Now we need to create form for this. So we can repeat all the steps we have done for the forms which we create today, but there is a command for the in the make bundle. So we'll ddiff php bin/console make form. But okay, so for which form class, the name of the form class should be, as I said, type should be in it. So this is employee, so employee form, employee type, like this, employee type or employees type or whatever. The name of the entity, so the name of the entity should be employees, right? And then it has generated the form for us, and where it is residing, if you go to the form inside source form, and this is employee type, and it has done all the stuff which we manually did for us, name, email, and father name, right? And then the employee class, the data class should be employees class, right? So the form has been created for us. If how to access it, we need to have a controller for it. So we'll create a new controller, but again, thank you so much to the maker bundle. We'll create all of this too. So what we can do is ddiff, and now we may need to install another library for CSRF tokens, but let us just issue the command ddiff php bin/console make. So we can create controller also, but there is another command which is make CRUD. So CRUD is CRUD, and it will end up with this error, composer requires security CSRF. So we need to have this so that we can create CRUD commands. So for now we will just copy this, ddiff and composer requires security dash CSRF, and you should know what CSRF tokens are. We had studied it in our custom application we had built, right? So this is being downloaded for us, and then we will reissue the CRUD command. This is the make CRUD command. Today PHP bin console make CRUD. So the class name of the entity to create CRUD, it is now asking me for which class this CRUD system should be built. So it's going to be for employees. Choose a name for your controller class. So we will call it employees. Maybe the default also is employees controller. We want to generate, no, we don't want any PHP unit testing for now. And it has created all these files for us. Source form, employees, this, blah, blah. Everything has been done for us. Now if you go to this and the controller, so you can see it has employees controller now. And this class, and just as I said today, the route / employees outside of the class means that all the routes should be / employees.
Yes, sir.
So this one is for this is the index, this is the new form, right? And this is exactly the same code, but they are not using the repository, they are directly using the persist inside with the entity manager.
Yes, sir.
So you can also do it, but if you want to, you can. Okay, so it has even created the new.html.twig for you, and the form is being passed. You can read about all this code it has created for you. This is the ID edit. So as I said, I was going to do this manually, but let us do it via the maker command. So we have done it, achieved it. We are including the create form of the employees type class and handling the request. All of this we have done today. You can go back to that part of the lecture. So thanks very much to the maker bundle. So if I now test it and go to maybe the new one, where is the new? This is the new. So the path is /new, but outside the class we have employees, so means the whole path should be employees /new.
So I think it have created a twig file also.
Yes, it has. So employees, maybe this employees /new. So now this is that form. Create new employees, name, email, father name, and save button. So for example, if I add Jamal, and the email is jamal@rupak.com, father name is Kamal, and save. So it has edited, and even it goes to the employees /employees. This is the index, and it has all the values also. So it has even the edit. Again we can edit it, maybe edited. So the name has been edited, and similarly you can go to one record, employees /1. So all of these routes are in this controller. You don't need to do it manually. If you need some other logic here, you can basically just change any part of the code. And just like Afaq mentioned, it has created all the required twig files for us also. So if you go to the templates and employees folder, these are all the new one. This is just that form. Okay, one more thing extra which they have done is they have taken the form start in a separate twig file. So _form is basically, if you have to include a twig partial, the naming convention is you can use underscore with it. Okay, so _form, this is the code, because the form is used in new as well as the edit also. So rather than copying or repeating the code, we can include it in the new. So here it is being included, and in the edit.html.twig. So here again it is being included. Okay.
Yes, sir.
and the delete form is, this is the delete form, so it can also be included. And basically they have used some JavaScript for the on submit, but you can use your own logic too. So all the CRUD part has been done for you. And if we go to the browse now, so that record which we added is there. So I think we have done a lot of stuff today. We created forms manually, and then we also styled that form, and afterwards we created forms via the command, the make commands. So basically you have now the knowledge of, maybe you can create some enterprise grade data architecture in Symfony using these make commands. And all the it can create a lot of boiler plate code for you also, which you can manipulate or use for your own convenience. So see you in the next lecture.
Thank you.